What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching us. Once again, guys, Stephen Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel. All right, y'all, today's topic. All right, look, I've had a lot of you guys ask me this, so might as well just come on and we'll make a video about it. A lot of you guys have been asking if I were to make a starting three right now without them taking any snaps, not taking the field, not seeing the Eagles' plans for package utilization, who would my starting three be right now in Philadelphia? It's an interesting question. It's very early for this question, guys. Please understand, what I feel today probably will not be the same way that I might feel come late August when we're getting around to September football, if that is a real possibility of happening with the scheduling. So, I'll talk today about who I think the starting three could be on the Philadelphia Eagles, my perceptions of that, what I think it means for the Eagles, and why I think it is. Because I think some of the things that get left out is, why are we projecting some of these guys to play certain positions, guys? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to put them in your starting three, what in particular about those players makes them your starting three receivers? All right, y'all. Without further ado, I've delayed long enough for you guys. Let's jump into it. Philadelphia Eagles starting three for the 2020 season. What do I think at this point in mid-May? All right, y'all. Let's get it.
Wentz looking around in the end zone, throws in the back corner. It is a touchdown.
All right, guys. If we're going to say starting three, let's go ahead and let's just state the obvious. We are assuming we will be running a primary base or a primary, offensive frequency from the personnel packages of 11-man personnel. So, if we're going to project 11-man personnel, then you got to look through who you're projecting to be on your 53-man. How many people are you projecting, guys? So for me personally, I'm projecting probably there'll be 6 receivers on this active 53-man roster. And as I'm looking at the guys that I projected, and I've already done a video on that, what I think early stages, what I'm thinking. You guys can go back. I'll link it in the description if you want to see that. But if you're looking at that, the 3 guys that keep coming to mind for me are Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward Jr., and Deshaun Jackson. Now, a lot of this has to do with, number one, like I said, your frequency. What personnel packages are you running? That's who I would be putting out there in my 11-man with what I have right now if the season were to start in September as scheduled. Reason being, I think Jalen Reagor is probably best suited to play the flanker role, to play your Z receiver in alignment, but I think he has the abilities to go in and play in short windows, contested catch windows, beat man press, and to be that guy that can play the boundary side of the field. So I would project right now Jalen Reagor, first round pick, what his actual skill set is. I could see him possibly going in and being your starting X receiver right now, if that were necessary. Who would I put as my Y receiver? Listen, I would go with Greg Ward Jr., okay? I know there's a lot of momentum right now, guys, for Marquise Goodwin. I'm not ready to buy into that hype yet. I have a video coming out. I'm going to try to either do it tomorrow or maybe Friday. We'll have to see, guys. It's going to be difficult for me to project when I'm going to do some of these videos just because I got some scheduling things going on. But I do have a video in the works where I'm going to break down what some of my hesitation is about Marquise Goodwin, because I think some of you guys are overestimating him a little bit. With that said, I'm going Greg Ward Jr. because I know what he can produce there, okay? I think that you can look at this, and I think you can come out different ways about your slot receiver. You can say Greg Ward Jr. like me, and I know some of you guys don't even have Greg Ward Jr. making the roster. I would tend to agree that his roster spot's not guaranteed, but I believe in his talent level that much where I feel confident not only is he going to make the roster, he's going to get a major playing time on this roster. I think you can look and say, well, you know what? I think JJ's natural positioning is a tall slot receiver. So we're going to put JJ Arcega-Whiteside in as your slot receiver. I can see merit for that argument as well. That's not where I went with it. And I also think, if you want to say, like, hey, I think, and I'll give you a little tidbit about what I'm going to talk about in my upcoming video, is if we're going to put Marquise Goodwin on this roster, Marquise Goodwin's fit here is a Tyreek Hill-like receiver in the slot. He's not as talented, guys. Please don't misunderstand that. I'm talking about the role in the fit, okay? I could see that argument. I don't have that on my roster. I have a starting 3 of Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward Jr., in Deshaun Jackson. Okay? That would be my starting three. And I know there's controversy around the starting three because, like I said, some of you guys don't even have Greg Ward Jr. making this team. And some of you guys probably are thinking to yourselves like, man, wouldn't it make more sense to maybe put JJ Arcega-Whiteside in as your X, maybe play Rager at your Y, Deshaun Jackson as your Z, and then you're just kind of moving Greg Ward Jr. in and out of your lineup as your fourth receiver. You could. Some of you might even say Jalen Rager as your X. Then you're going to take a look at JJ Arcega-Whiteside, like I said, as your Y, and then your Z being Deshaun Jackson. I think all those have merit, guys. I think all those route combinations have merit. I think you can align that way. But I'll flip this back on you because I already given you four. So, you got four of the guys I already put on this roster. If you go back and watch that, now you're just looking to see who the last two players are I added. Take it out of 11 man. What do you do when you're in 12 man? You got two really good tight ends on this football team. The Eagles are going to run a lot of 12 man. Now, we're not going to be playing 12 man the way we played 12 man in the 2019 season. The reason we were so heavy in 12 men in the 2019 season is because we have good football players at the tight end position, but also a lot of this was, brought on by injury concerns. So when we go to 12 man, who are the two receivers would you project to play? Because I think we're all thinking about this in an idealized 11 man personnel package. So if I'm in 12 man, I think it's interesting. Do you put Rager and Jackson on the field? Do you put, JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Jackson on the field? Do you put Greg Ward Jr. and Jackson on the field? Who are you playing in 12 man? I think that's where it gets interesting. To me, that's where I could see some really interesting conversations start to come out of it. And then you go to things like 10 man personnel, right? Where you're running 4 wide receiver sets. If you're running 4 wide receiver sets, now would you maybe bring up one of your younger guys to play in this, right? So now would you play a Rager, a Ward Jr., a Deshaun Jackson, and then maybe you bring up a Hightower to play in that package. Or maybe you bring up Quez Watkins to play in that package. Or if you've got Goodwin on your 53-man roster, maybe that's when you play Rager, Greg Ward Jr., Deshaun Jackson, and Goodwin in that package. Mix some JJ in there, or Arcega-Whiteside, whatever, however you want to do it. I think that the questions get interesting as you look and you start getting beyond just 11-man personnel packages. Look at your 10-man, right? Empty back set, 0 personnel. Look at, 12-man personnel. What if you start running 2 back sets, right? So what if you do something like a 20-man? 20-man being 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, no tight end on the field. Do I think the Eagles would do that? Probably unlikely. But just think about what would happen in that situation. What about if you're running 21 or 22-man personnel packages, right? So now you're varying between, do you have 1 tight end on the field or do you have 2 tight ends on the field, right? So now we're talking about how many tight ends, how many receivers on the field between 21 and 22-man personnel. If you're running 21-man personnel, who are your 2 wide receivers? You got 2 back set, 2 receivers. Are you going to go with your better blocking receiver? So are you going to go with a Rager and a JJ Arcega-Whiteside maybe? Are you going to keep some speed on the field and put like a Djax out there, a Hightower, a Watkins, or a Goodwin? That's what, to me, that's where things get interesting. You got to go just beyond that 11-man personnel package and think about the actual personnel you have and how you would utilize them. So this is how I'll kind of flip this back to you guys. Let's talk about individual circumstances and how you guys would align. I said with 11-man, my ideal situation right now in May, mid-May, would be Rager, Ward Jr., and Djax. So tell me, just put 11, tell me your 11. Who are your 11? Give me your 3 players for 11-man personnel package, okay? Then let's go to 12-man personnel package. I said 12-man personnel package get interesting because do you go Rager and Djax? I would probably go Rager and Djax most of the time. Or do you go Greg Ward Jr. and Djax? Do you go JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Djax? JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Rager? Like, how would you set that up in your 12-man? And then let's flip it around, guys, and let's talk about 10-man personnel package, right? 4 receiver set. We haven't been able to run that in a long time here in Philadelphia. We might have the players to run that finally. What would you do? I mean, would you do Rager, Ward, Jackson, and like a Hightower, or Rager, Ward, Jackson, and Watkins? Would you do, Rager, Ward, Jackson, and JJ Arcega-Whiteside? Rager, Ward, Jackson, and Goodwin? Like, how would you run that 4-man personnel set? That's an interesting one to me as well, guys. And then let's, tell me below, just say 2 back set, right? You don't have to go into 21, 22, like just sound, 2 back set, what receivers would you put on the field in a two-back set? I mean, for me, I could see some utility there with Rager and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So that way teams don't know if it's a run block because those are probably two of your better run blocking receivers. You know, who would you guys put out there? Would you try to maybe mix it up and add a little speed out there on those two back sets, right? So you put a Djax out there. Would you put, maybe a Hightower out there, a Watkins out there, Goodwin, whoever, how would you guys mix up all these personnel packages? That's what I want to know, guys. All right, y'all. You know my thoughts on it. Like I said, guys, if we're talking about 11 man, I'm going Rager, Ward Jr., Djax. That's my three, guys, right now. Now, camp will come, things will change. I'm pretty sure of it. All right, y'all. We've exhausted what my feelings are about it. I want to know, what do you think, guys? All right, y'all. Tell me your thoughts about this. 10 man, 11 man, 12 man, two back sets. Let me know your thoughts, guys. All right, y'all. You know how we end these videos. We do a little something like EAGLES. All right, y'all. Let's go, Eagles.